Good morning and welcome to Nonsense Talk News. I'm Pallab Ghosh with you. On a solemn morning when we have lost the golden voice of radio, Ameen Sayani. Ameen Sayani needs no introduction, especially to those who had heard him over the decades on earlier Radio Saloon and then Vivid Bharati All India Radio. Ameen Sayani is no more, the golden voice on radio for over 60 long years. And 42 long years he had been comparing the Binaka Geet Mala that made him popular. But apart from that, he had compared lots of radio programs, over 54,000 radio programs, and over 19,000 radio jingles, advertisements, and spots. His iconic voice will be always remembered. We can never forget, especially my generation, will never forget the sponsored programs that he used to compare on All India Radio. It was called Vivid Bharati Ke Prayojit Karyakram. On Saturdays and Sundays afternoon, these special programs were aired. These Vivid Bharati Ke Prayojit Karyakram used to be sponsored programs of Hindi films, forthcoming Hindi films, in which Ameen Sayani in 30 minutes would actually narrate the story and sometimes bring over guests from the film, actresses, directors, music directors, so on and so forth. Listening to him, listening to the style, the way he used to conduct the interview, the way he used to interact with the people was in itself a class. With Binaka Geet Mala in 1952, previously on Radio Ceylon, subsequently it was aired on Vivid Bharati All India Radio, Ameen Sayani rose to fame. In this program, he used to air the songs, top 10 songs that had hit the charts. This program became so popular that Ameen Sayani compared this program for over 42 long years. In fact, whenever Ameen Sayani was asked about his radio experience, he would always talk about the Binaka Geet Mala that was so close to his heart. But Ameen Sayani was also popular for various other radio programs. And in this category, I think those of us who were born in the 70s can never forget the Born Vita quiz contest that used to be aired on Vivid Bharati All India Radio on Sunday, 2 p.m. But the way he actually conducted the interview, the way he spoke to the guests is worth listening to. And if still those recordings are available, because today the internet has made many things easy, and many things, the archival things are now available on the internet. So if the youngsters who want to build a career on radio, because everybody is talking about FM, everybody is talking about radio, everybody is talking about new media, but unfortunately we don't hear any voice. Forget about the voice, that is God-given, but the way these people used to talk on radio. And in this category, I can name a couple of more names. Of course, Ameen Sayani, Melville DeMello, Latika Rathnam, Borun Haldar, so on and so forth. These were the names who had created their mark, not because of the voice. Voice was definitely there. We will never get a voice like Melville DeMello. We will never get a voice like Ameen Sayani. We will never get a voice like Borun Haldar. I still remember at 9 o'clock when the news used to be aired on All India Radio. I can still remember. I can still recall that voice. The news read by Borun Haldar. It was iconic. Unfortunately, youngsters of today will not get the chance to listen to these voices. And even if they get the archival recordings, they can never enjoy that moment. Simply nostalgic. Similarly, keeping with the track of Ameen Sayani, as I was saying, these programs used to be small, short programs on forthcoming films. And the way Ameen Sayani used to conduct the interview in his own style, what a lovely voice he had. And the way he spoke to people at ease. Today's journalists, they shout, they scream, they express their thoughts in such a way that often the listeners, the audience, get pissed off. Because they try to put their thoughts on their audiences. But in those days, these iconic presenters never did so. They used to casually talk with their guests. They used to casually interact with their guests. But now I understand that it was so strong, the script must have been so strongly written that these programs in itself, as I am recalling this as nostalgia while recalling Ameen Sayani, I can now understand how much effort must have gone in scripting the radio script before coming on air. I can now understand how much effort these people who used to conduct interviews, who used to conduct radio programs, had given to these scripts. Because for them, these scripts were the ultimate. They knew how to write, and more than that, how to interact, how to present the programs. So in those days, Ameen Sayani was very close to Amitabh Bachchan. And I can never forget those special programs with Amitabh Bachchan, because we were die-hard fan of Amitabh Bachchan. And Amitabh Bachchan was an iconic name. We, on average, whoever belonged to that era, that generation, have grown up with the films of Amitabh Bachchan. He was the icon. And Ameen Sayani had the privilege of comparing numerous shows with Amitabh Bachchan, Kalyanji Anandji, Kishore Kumar Amitabh Bachchan, Kalyanji Anandji Night, so on and so forth. And Ameen Sayani had brought out a couple of LP records, because in those days it was LP long playing records and cassettes, because CD or Blu-ray was not there. So on records and cassettes, Ameen Sayani had brought a couple of recorded programs which he had compared with Amitabh Bachchan. Yeh Amitabh Part 1 and Part 2 was a special program brought out in shape of cassettes and LPs after the accident of Amitabh Bachchan. I'm talking about the 1982 accident of Amitabh Bachchan, when Puneet sir accidentally had hit Bachchan in his intestine, and Amitabh Bachchan was nearly clinically dead. Entire world was praying for him. After this accident, Ameen Sayani had brought this record and cassette, Ye Hai Amitabh Part 1 and Part 2. Later, of course, he had brought a couple of more, but the last one, if I am not wrong, then it was the Amitabh Charisma, the 4 set cassettes. compiled with Amitabh Bachchan's dialogues from his films, songs, and of course the intro and uh, the script by Ameen Sayani. So these are the iconic memories of Ameen Sayani. And whenever Ameen Sayani was asked, because recent past I was following him on Facebook, and I am privileged today to say whenever I used to write something like others, write something, he would have responded, and it was definitely a very big thing to get an appreciation or even God bless you written by Ameen Sayani. Because whenever people like Ameen Sayani would stand on the stage and take the mic and say Behno aur Bhaiyo, I think everybody present in the auditorium would simply get floored by his iconic voice and his style of comparing. This was Ameen Sayani. Well, Ameen Sayani will be always alive through his works, because even in the recent past, he was giving his voice to various programs on radio. But the point is, these iconic voices are an institution. And I really don't know if anybody in the fraternity or those who are working with radio are keeping these as archival records. It's very important to do so, because human is mortal, so everybody will die. But these iconic tapes, these iconic recordings will serve as schooling, because they are the institution. And I reiterate, listening to these people and learning how to talk on radio, how to present on radio, how to express on radio, including the scripting. The scripting, because the scripting is very important, especially on radio. And by listening to these people, by watching the archival footages, by listening to the archival recordings, today's young people, today's young Turks who are planning to make their career on radio, or those who are on radio, will get immense help.